Throw your hand in there.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yes. So we're doing Owens Valley Geology. I'm Rolando.
Walker. TJ.
So Owens Valley is approximately 90 miles long, north to south, surrounded by the Sierra Nevada Mountains, Coastal Range to the southeast, White and Inyo Mountains, Chalfant Valley in the north, and Rose Valley on the south. The valley is a graben, which is an elongated block that has shrunk while its surroundings have grown. The Sierra Nevada mountains were formed by normal frontal faults. So the block gets pushed up and the valley gets down. Same with the White and Inyo mountains. The Sierra Nevada mountains were also formed by Farallon plate that no longer exists. It subducted under the North American plate, and that allowed magma to rise and form mountains. It's one of the deepest valleys in the continental U.S., and the valley has filled up with approximately 3,000 miles of sediment over the years.
You mean meters?
Yes. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Just
The Owens Valley Fault Zone is approximately 62 miles long. So from Owens Lake to Big Pine, and it's strike slip, but there are some vertical displacements. The block to the right goes north, and the block to the left goes south. The direction of lateral movement is unknown, but best evidence suggests that it's a left lateral. As you go further north, the displacements are more vertical than the south. In 1872, there was a large earthquake at the Lone Pine Fault, and it caused a 40-foot shift to the left, or I think to the right actually, and 15 feet vertical. And scarps are the result of earthquakes. So you just see like land that has been displaced. And the Alabama Hills, that forms from the crack of the block moving up.
Cool. So next we have the Long Valley Caldera. It's one of the world's largest. It's 20 miles long, 11 miles wide, and 3,000 feet deep. Formed 760,000 years ago when an eruption released ash that became the Bishop Tuff. The empty cavity collapsed, and that's what created the caldera. And in 1980, there was a swarm of earthquakes that occurred. Which made them realize that it was the central part of the caldera is still active, actively rising, and even till today, it's still unrest underneath that part of the caldera.
Alright, so I will be talking about volcanism. And so the caldera is actually one of the main events that happened roughly over a million you could see like Glass Mountain and Mammoth Mountain, and then you could see the resurgent dome. So basically like the volcano erupted and then it caved in and collapsed in on itself. And it's actually a super volcano that they are still monitoring today, but it won't, in our lifetime it won't erupt. They don't think, anyways. But I just thought that the visual aid helped like for us to see what's happening underneath, and you could see like all like the Mesozoic and Paleozoic rock and volcanic and glacial sedimentary. Hold on. I can't see my notes that I took on here, so it's kind of throwing me off. I think I did it wrong. Hold on a second.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. So it was how do I take this off so they can't see it? Anyways, I basically said what I was going to say. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we all went to Fossil Falls yesterday, and it was really cool to see like all the rock formation that happened. So what happened is the volcano erupted, and then the Owens Valley River glacial runoff came through, and that's how Fossil Falls became to be. So I don't know if you guys saw like the Red Hill mountain that was next to us. That's actually a volcano, and there is a lot of volcanic glass right through that hill, and it's actually obsidian, and the paleo people used to use that as weapons to hunt mammoths and other animals to eat.
Another geological structure, the Tufa Mono Lake. We've gone over this a couple times.
Okay. Repetition is
Calcium,
good.
calcium carbonate spires and knobs. They're underwater springs that they pump calcium saturated water through the lake bed, and when the spring water meets the alkaline lake water, calcium and carbonate salts, they react to form limestone, and these deposits settle and grow into these tufa. They are only formed underwater, so everything that we see is there because the water level dropped. But these tufa are not only for our visual enjoyment, but they also aid towards protection and nesting for many bird species, and help protect lake surface as well.
All right, so the Owens River used to be a lot larger than it, as you see it is now. An aqueduct was proposed to divert the water supply from the Owens Valley to Los Angeles as Los Angeles started growing. So this river is now, the riverbank is now being cut a lot differently, and a lot of land that we saw over there that's part of the valley now used to be underwater. That's no longer the case. The political history behind this aqueduct could be found through Fred Eaton, who was elected LA mayor at the time and founded the LA DWP. J.B. Lippincott, who was the chief of operations in California at Mulholland, who we learned about already, was the chief engineer at the time. This website's good for getting that whole history. So, moving forward, as we know, the hydrogeology of this area has changed a lot. If we want to see the river acting like it was supposed to be, before we changed the hydrogeology and therefore the ecosystems, continued restoration will be important, which is already going on. We've seen what they were doing with the lake, and dam removal or partial dam removal is definitely an option for getting the water to flow the way it's supposed to, as opposed to having the areas dammed and now because we're eventually going to see over time the geology act a lot differently. And Noah's dad answered a question saying that education is more important than policy. Changing attitudes in education being most important. So probably goes without saying. Thank you.
Any questions?
That or volcanism and earthquakes will just change everything completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well,
More so than policy or education.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
overriding process.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
earthquakes.
Like Noah's dad was talking about, like
I
Mother Nature.
The
Like,
geology.
like
in
Noah's
that
dad was
area
mentioning, like Mother Nature, like we can do all this shit, but then Mother Nature will be like, nope,
Me, I
and
know
redo
that.
it, you know?
Right.
You split the apple in
But
half with
I
your
read that
hands.
you say Robert, the horse is Robert.
Oh.
So.